What and how to study to get a decent score for the ASVAB test. The ASVAB consists of 9 subtests, and only 4 of these count toward your Armed Forces Qualifying Test score, or what we call AFQT score. Well, the AFQT score determines whether or not you are qualified to enlist in the military. Now, among the 4 subtests that you needed to pass the ASVAB to enlist, the math part is the most challenging for most test takers, which are the arithmetic reasoning and the math knowledge part. So in this video, I will focus on what and how to study the math part in detail, and which important math skills you need to learn and review. So the arithmetic reasoning is basically math word problems, while the mathematic knowledge, this tests your knowledge of math concepts, principles, and procedures. So you need to know the basic terminology in math, formulas, and computation rules. So you might have probably studied them in school, and you just need to go over them and practice. I will be discussing here some terms and math strategies. But the first thing you need to know is, don't work in your head. Although you might think that you can solve math questions more quickly in your head, that's a good way to make mistakes. So you need to write out each step. So you can take notes. You can use a scratch paper or any blank papers to do that. Draw pictures or illustrations and calculate, so you'd better understand the problem. You have to dissect the problem and understand it word for word. Here are the math topics that you need to know and review on to prepare for the ASVAB test. We have the arithmetic word problems, order of operations, or what we call PEMDAS, fractions and decimals, number patterns, geometry formulas, functions, and factorials. And I also put the subtopics here for each math concept, so you will know what to review on. So we have, for the whole numbers, you need to review on the place value, comparing numbers, surrounding numbers, addition, and subtraction word problems, multiplication, exponents, long division, multiplication and division or word problems. For integers, you need to review on graphing and writing integers, comparing integers, opposites and obsolete value, adding and subtracting integers, multiplying and dividing integers, order of operations, and evaluation. And for fractions, you need to review on divisibility rules, factors and primes, prime factorization, multiples and least common multiple, great common factor, introduction to fractions, equivalent fractions, reducing fractions to lowest terms, improper fractions and mixed numbers, comparing fractions, adding, subtracting like fractions, adding, subtracting unlike fractions, multiplying fractions, and dividing fractions. So those are the topics that you need to review on fractions. And for decimals, these are the topics that you need to review on. Converting decimals to fractions, fractions to decimals, comparing decimals, rounding, adding, subtracting, and word problems, multiplying decimals by whole numbers, multiplying decimals by decimals, dividing, and powers of 10, converting from scientific notation to standard notation, and vice versa, and terminating and repeating decimals, and determining if a number is rational or irrational. And then we have expressions and equations. You need to review on patterns with whole numbers, fractions, decimals, integers, combining like terms, distributive property, one-step equations, two-step equations with fractions, Okay, literal equations, advanced literal equations. So those are the topics under expressions and equations. And we have word problems and inequalities. You will be reviewing on translating English to algebra. So translating English to algebra is just writing a mathematical sentence into a mathematical equation, which I will be discussing in the next video. And we have writing and solving multi-step equations, number word problems, consecutive integer word problems, motion, mixture, and solving and graphing inequalities. And then we have the systems of equations. So these are the topics that you need to review on under systems of equations. That includes graphing lines, slope of a line, slope formula, slope intercept, writing equations of lines, solving systems by addition, substitution, and number and value word problems, as well as wind and current word problems. And you also need to review on exponents and polynomials, and the topics under this one are the product rule, power rule, quotient rule, numerical basis and exponents of zero, the FOIL method, and advanced multiplying polynomials. And then we have the factoring and rational expressions. You need to know or review on the greatest common factor, factoring out the greatest common factor, trinomials, difference of two squares, factoring trinomials, factoring completely, simplifying rational expressions, and multiplying and dividing them. And we also have radical expressions. So you need to review on this. Simplifying radicals, multiplying radicals, dividing, adding, and foiling with radicals. Then you need to review on ratio and proportion and percent. For ratio, proportion, and percent, you need to review on these topics here. Okay. That includes discount, sales tax, interest, percent increase or decrease. And under geometry, you need to review on segments, rays, and length, angles and measure, complementary and supplementary angles, Pythagorean theorem, isosceles triangle theorems, polygons, circles, arcs, and central angles. And for measurement, you need to review on unit conversions, unit of measurement, circumference, perimeter, areas, area of squares and rectangles, as well as triangles, area of parallelograms, trapezoids, and circles. And you also need to review on surface areas, volume of prisms, pyramids, cylinders, spheres, and cones. Okay, and so on. And also you need to review on probability and statistics and coordinate geometry. So under probability and statistics, you need to learn or review on range, median, mode, mean, simple probability, permutations, tree diagrams. And for coordinate geometry, you need to know the distance formula, midpoint formula, equation of a circle, and then also the exponents and radicals. So you need to review on negative exponents, rational exponents, basis, numerical basis with rational exponents. I will discuss more in the next videos. And actually, I've solved a lot of problems here on arithmetic reasoning and solved problems on math knowledge, which you can review on. Just checked on the playlist and check on every problem that I posted here. So that's all for now. I will discuss particularly on word problems. I might discuss it in detail, especially the terminology, the terms that you have to be familiar with, so it'd be easier for you to understand the problem and to calculate it.